Okay, going to start with emptying it because it's already been run. This is dry. It's only on there hand tight. It's a special Teflon tape meant for gas lines, hydrocarbon use. So it's special for contact with oil. Used part of the original cage from the champagne bottle to hold down the cork adapter, and then that just twists out. And it's just extremely dry. You see the dust. Basically, the way I see it is if anything sticks, I want to keep it, go again. So, that's how you unload it. So, just the reverse. Funnels over there. Plant material. I found that the finer it is ground, the better. Kind of given up on measuring, I just fill the bottle. This here is shake, something that would have gotten thrown away or given away. And I know this holds about 2.5 to 2 3/4 ounces, up to where I fill it. There we go. Plastic really does suck for this. Static. Just wipe away the excess. Back in. Cage back over it. Once again, hand tight. Nothing crazy here. It's plastic on steel. And there we go. It's reloaded, ready to go. What I'm going to do now is add just a little bit of butane to it, just to make sure I've got a good seal. And then it's going to go into the freezer before I go to fill it up. So, that is plenty to find out if I've got any leaks. So I'm just going to go submerge in water, make sure it's safe to hang around for a while, and we'll be back later. Well, before I grab the bottle out of the freezer, a few things about the bottles. This is a champagne bottle. Actually, it's a Martinelli's bottle, sparkling apple cider, but you can take a look here and see the difference right away in thickness, and I hope the camera's keeping up with this because I can't see it myself. Big difference there. So, same thing here, just a wine bottle. Definitely want to use a sparkling type bottle. Make sure you get something thick. This is what I'm using. First one I used was green, but what fun is that? Especially when everything I'm looking at is green and yellow. Doesn't quite work. So, anyhow, I'm going to go grab it from the freezer. Put it in the freezer because it helps draw the butane into here. In fact, sometimes I use a warm water wash on the bottle of butane just to make sure I get a little bit of that extra pressure in. Anyhow, it's been checked, submerged in water to make sure I don't have any leaks with the first bit of butane I put in there. Anyhow, I'm going to use that first bit of butane right now to blow out any water that might have gotten into the nozzle. So, there we go. And back the other way. So, this was nowhere near a full bottle. Not a full bottle. There we go. There's some good transfer. So this would be about the most I've done. It's right about where I would say 2 3/4 ounce of plant matter. Okay, we have gas. So right about here is really about 1, maybe 1 1/4 cans of butane. I'm going to agitate it a little bit. Nice color change. I'm going to go ahead and boil it real quick, just to kind of expand it inside the plant and force itself out along with what I want to get. That rattle is the safety on the valve. Well, once it gets up to room temperature, that I hope got most of that. Once it gets up to room temperature, I'm going to leave it in there for an hour. I'm going to agitate it every once in a while just to help get some of that extra stuff out. Okay. One of the things I didn't mention earlier about the bottles was the actual pressures that they can withstand. At least a champagne bottle is good to 5 or 6 atmospheres, which translates to about 90 psi, which means that every champagne bottle sitting on the shelf is potentially at 90 pounds of pressure per square inch. That's actually what they are at, right there on the shelf. What the bottle can take, I don't know, and I don't want to find out, but during my test, which was done with the green bottle and custom-made cage, and another one, I made a couple of them out of a cutting board that was made out of ABS plastic, which is butane friendly and has a good rating. Also stainless steel. The one that's up at the top of this might look like brass, but closer look you can tell what that is. Yeah, this hasn't been modified for the port. Okay. And I reuse my glassware. I clean it fairly good, but the residual stays and gets redeposited, so every round I do has a little bit of the last one, unless it's contaminated in some way. But that was made yesterday. And once it's agitated, I'm going to vent it real quick. Get it to boil, get it to come out of the plant material. And I really didn't release that much. I do have, as you can hear, the exhaust fans going. But working with it in a pressurized container makes it much easier to work with. Of course, what I'm going to do now is definitely not recommended, but for the sake of this video, is going to happen inside. I'll get as much of it down as possible. You can see just the temperature of my hand is making it boil. Here we go. So as I'm doing this, I'm also kind of watching the older BHO down. And this is also going to go to an evacuation chamber that I have set up for it. Down there. down into the filter tube, and it should just start hissing here in a second. There it is. Let that sit there for a second. I'll go ahead and add our next charge. There we go, it's getting heavy. You can already start to see the color. Butane passes through the filter tube perfectly unhindered in the opposite direction. It only catches the plant matter. Sounds like that one is done. It's taking a while because these are a little bit on the cold side. It's better to have it nice and hot. There we go. Nice and hot. By that I mean about 75 to 80 degrees. There we go. Second run. Already showing great promise. So this is definitely about 10 degrees cooler in the room, so just kind of sit down here, warm up a little bit, and let's see if we can get a picture of this. And I might be editing that out. This was the last run. Didn't video it. I did some of it. Yeah. This is what I ended up with. I got 5.4 grams minus a couple of tests that snuck in before I weighed it, and got 5.4 grams off of 2 ounces of sugar leaf and buds that I did not do any trimming whatsoever on. I just stripped the branches, put it in the blender. One of the things I love about this is how easy it is to clean up afterwards. It just sits and dries in a ventilated room. Strip it with a custom rake into a paper bag, stomp it down a little bit, pull the twigs out to the blender. It has simplified trimming so much. Welcome to the drying, curing, and extracting room. We have a vacuum line right here, water in, water out, copper loop on the inside, and a copper plate soldered to it. Temperature gauge inside and a vacuum gauge. Going to go ahead and start the roadside refrigerator pump. Perfect price for me, $3.50 free. And as the vacuum gets applied, I send the vapors outside. Well, here is the last of the second pull. I let it sit all night with the nozzle down, so all of what's left is right here. So we're going to go ahead and get what's left. There's still a lot of butane, still a lot in here. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to take it outside and just open up the valve and let it outgas that way. When it's 90% or so done, the last 10% takes hours. So when it's about 90% done is when I dump it. Then I take the what's left back outside. So I have the bottle back. I guess eventually I should just get myself a second or third bottle. Well, I do have them. I just need to clear, want to clear.